Warner Bros. Discovery seems to have no answer on how they can finally get a successful interconnected DC live-action cinematic universe. Since Aquaman 2018, every single DCEU movie has been one big disaster after another. At the moment, they have no option but to trust their new DC Studios CEO, James Gunn, to give them the answer to this million-dollar question. To be very honest, I personally think that it is very unlikely that he would be able to bring any kind of notable difference. Make no mistake, I am not doubting his abilities as a filmmaker. In fact, I think he is arguably the best comic book movie director at the moment. I absolutely adore his work at Marvel Studios. What he did with the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the characters in that world is simply remarkable. But, I think his brilliance is just not going to be enough to revive the DC franchise again. It is going to need a lot more than that. It is a sad reality that a movie like Barbie managed to make 5 times the money that the Flash movie made over its lifetime, which included cameos of probably the most celebrated characters in pop culture history like Batman, Flash and Supergirl. Hell, even a movie about a giant megalodon shark, Meg 2: The Trench, has already surpassed the lifetime collection of the Flash movie within just 2 weeks of its release. Before continuing on with the topic, I just want to inform you that making these kind of contents require a lot of time, dedication and hard work. If you want to motivate me to keep doing this in future, I just ask for a small favor from all of you, my friends. Please subscribe to my channel and leave a like on this video. It really means a lot. Okay, so let us get back to the main topic. Personally, I do not care if a DC movie is directed by Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan or any other person for that matter. All I want is a good product which is able to do justice to my favorite characters and give us a good interconnected cinematic universe with great stories. But there is no way anyone could deny the absolutely terrible state of mess that DC movies are facing currently. The next movie, Blue Beetle, is coming out in less than 3 days from now. And the early box office predictions suggest that it would make just $15 to $20 million in its opening weekend. The promotion and marketing of this movie is so bad that sometimes I feel Warner Bros. Have given up on Blue Beetle altogether. So, the big question remains, how can DC get back its lost glory? Superman Legacy is supposed to start a new universe with an entirely new team of Justice League. It will act like a gateway, or let us call it an introduction to James Gunn's new DC universe. So, it goes without saying that the fate of the new universe depends entirely on the commercial success of Superman Legacy. If it fails to make an impact, nobody would care about a Swamp Thing movie or a Creature Commandos show within that same universe. Gunn needs to give us an extraordinary Superman movie to get people interested in a new DC universe at a time when the franchise seems to have lost its charm. In fact, the fans of the franchise are largely divided at the moment. A lot of fans are still furious because Henry Cavill was unfairly ousted from the role of Superman, within months after he was called back to make a cameo in Black Adam. Whether you like his version or not, Henry Cavill did make a very solid impression as Superman within the current generation of fans. Whenever someone speaks of Superman, Henry Cavill's face automatically comes to my mind. I am sure this is the case with most Superman fans as well. Man of Steel might not have made as much money at the box office as compared to its MCU counterparts, but the movie is still a subject of analysis for fans across the world. The movie is a revolution for the superhero genre, which no one can deny. For me, Henry Cavill is the definitive Superman by a long shot. Actually, the whole cast of the Snyderverse, or the DCEU, whatever you like to call it, are so perfect that I feel they were literally born to play those characters. Be it Ben Affleck's Batman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, or Ray Fisher's Cyborg, each of these characters looked like they were ripped right off the pages of a comic book. The actors were never the problem for the failure of the DCEU. The only reason why the Snyderverse failed to make as much money as was expected was because Warner Bros. Kept interfering in Zack's vision. The studio interfered more number of times with Zack's vision than the Usos interfered in a Roman Reigns match. Batman vs. Superman and Justice League 2017, both of which were supposed to be the backbone and lay the foundation of the DCEU, suffered the most from studio interference. Both the movies were heavily edited out and a big portion of their runtime were cut out in order to fit the 2-hour runtime limit. For example, the scene where Clark Kent goes to Gotham to learn more about Batman and his ways to offer justice is completely cut out from the theatrical version of Batman v Superman. As a result, we do not get to see the background and the actual reason why Superman thinks Batman is a danger to the human society. In fact, a lot of the complaints about both Batman v Superman and Justice League 2017 was that the storyline of the movie made no sense at all and why the characters decide to do what they do. And only the studio is responsible for the utter mess that those movies eventually turned out to be. The theatrical versions of both BVS and Justice League ended up being totally different from their original versions. I personally really believe that the Ultimate Edition of BVS and Zack Snyder's Justice League are two of the best comic book movies to be ever made. Despite being heavily edited and its runtime trimmed down by the studio, Batman v Superman and Justice League 2017 still managed to make more money than every other non-Snyderverse DCEU movies except Aquaman. It is pretty clear after the recent failures of all the wannabe MCU movies, that people love DC movies to do what they are good at, which is giving us dark and realistic, visually stunning movies. If you look at the history of DC movies, it is always the dark and grounded movies that have turned out to be successful. Every single commercially successful DC movie, be it The Dark Knight, Joker 2019, The Batman or Zack Snyder's Justice League, are very different from the generic fun, lighthearted MCU kind of movies. I think there is a huge possibility that the studio might reconsider rebooting the DCEU even though the first phase of the new universe has already been announced. This might seem like a far-fetched statement, but if you think about it, movies are supposed to make money. If they can't do that, there is no point in making them at all. I think David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, will eventually sit down and rethink the outcomes of starting a new universe when no one actually cares about the franchise. It is sad to admit, but the DC franchise is dying. And Warner Bros. Need to realize sooner rather than later that a new universe starting from scratch is actually not the best idea at the moment when the MCU has entered its fifth phase into the multiversal saga. I personally think continuing on with the old universe is actually the best option for Warner Bros. Right now. It does not take a genius to find out after the box office performance of the Flash movie, which was supposed to reboot the old universe, and the non-existent hype for Blue Beetle, which is the first addition to the new universe under James Gunn, that people have no interest to find out what's going to happen in the new universe. Fans are more interested to hear about the casting rumors of the upcoming Fantastic Four movie than David Corenswet being the new Superman in a James Gunn movie. The possibility of the DCEU continuing on seems probable at the moment because last week we got to know that Wonder Woman 3 is still happening with Gal Gadot returning to the role. It was initially thought to be part of James Gunn's universe, but was later confirmed that it will be a continuation of Wonder Woman's story within the DCEU. So, in a way, the DCEU will still continue even after the new universe starts with Superman Legacy. It is interesting to note that other than Superman, none of the projects that James Gunn announced for the first phase of his universe features any character that was previously portrayed within the DCEU. Characters like Swamp Thing, Creature Commandos, or the Authority were never portrayed in live action before. This could be a well-thought-out move by WB to include those new movies within the former universe if things do not go as per the plan. Now the question that you may have on your mind is, what about Superman Legacy? Well, the movie can still go ahead as planned. In that case, Superman Legacy could just be made as an Elseworlds universe movie like Superman Returns 2006. We already have two different versions of Batman and Joker. So, I do not think it would be much of a problem to have two different versions of Superman existing alongside each other as well. Henry Cavill can continue being our Man of Steel for the main universe. However, the new universe, or let us call it the DCEU 2.0, would not be the Snyderverse by any means. It would be a very different take on the characters this time. I think with James Gunn and Peter Safran at the helm, the new DCEU movies could have a similar tone like the bike chase sequence including Ben Affleck's Batman, The Flash and Wonder Woman in the recent Flash movie. That is still a better option than getting rid of the entire cast and starting all over again. If Warner Bros. Does not wish to go this way, there is another way the new DC universe can generate some sort of hype for Superman Legacy and all the other upcoming projects. Although I personally do not want this to happen, but I feel this is definitely an option to generate at least some kind of hype for the new universe. The only recent DC movie to achieve some degree of commercial success other than Aquaman 2018 is Matt Reeves' The Batman, earning $800 million globally, which is remarkable considering the fact that the movie is the first of a brand new standalone Batman trilogy. Although the movie is heavily grounded in reality, it could be adjusted to make room for Superman to exist in that world. In fact, in the recently released Riddler comics, which showcased Paul Dano's Riddler's backstory, there was a mention of Superman and Metropolis at one point. In fact, it could be a deliberate move by the studio to keep the door open in case they want Robert Pattinson's Batman to be part of a larger universe. So, making Superman Legacy to exist in the same universe as that of Matt Reeves' The Batman could work in Warner Bros.' favor in their effort to create a commercially successful interconnected cinematic universe. However, my suggestion would be to leave that universe untouched and let it be its own thing. I would rather prefer the DCEU to continue with the original cast returning to their roles. So, those are the two options which could give Warner Bros. Something to create hype for the future of DC cinema. That is all I have to say in this video. If you have any question, please ask me in the comments. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.